Welcome to CLMD Connect. In support to the Comprehensive Region-Led Learning Continuity Plan (LCP). I teach. Integrating technology academic community, the household. Ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulong Idokalidad. This is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality education across Davao Region.
We all once again share an active and engaging breakaway sessions today. We have sessions 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, with the collaborative pursuit of greater excellence of learning and the continued quest to a relevant, accessible, equitable, and responsive education for all. As our guest speaker today, Honorable Assistant Secretary Ramon Fiel G. Absede for Finance, Budget, and Program Monitoring said, his message strengthening the evolving technologies which help us connected and continue in our seizing partnership and teamwork to help contribute in the fulfillment of our aspiration towards our national growth in the advocacy of Bawat Bata Bumabasa, anchored on Sulong Idokalidad. This is our fourth day of our regional training on literacy instruction, the 30th of July 2020. This is Maureen Avabi Acuña of the Santa Ana National High School Division of Davao City.
As we all know, change is the only constant in the world. And as we prepare ourselves to engage into innovative ways of teaching, DepEd aims to provide the teachers opportunities to develop their skills and strategies so that we can produce a new breed of learners who are literate and confident. Good morning once again to all our viewers who are watching us live from the different corners of Davao region. Welcome to the fourth day of our online training on literacy instruction. And I would like to say that despite of our gloomy weather, I hope you guys will stay energetic and attentive to our facilitators. This is still Marja Niverillo, live from the Office of the Curriculum and Learning Management Division, DepEd Regional Office 11. Good morning, Miss Ava. I think it's high time to start the ball rolling.
Good morning, Ms. Marge. That is exactly correct. And of course, to our respected Regional Director of the Region 11, Dr. Evelyn Arfit Alvero, CESO 4, our Assistant Regional Director, Dr. Maria Inesi Asuncion, CESO 5, Chief of the Curriculum and Learning Management Division, Chief Janet G. Veloso, Education Program Supervisor, Dr. Manuel P. Vallejo, Region 11, Education Program Supervisors and the Division Education Program Supervisors, our passionate teachers and our school heads, good morning. Today, we really have illustrious guests coming from the Department of Education, Central Office, Undersecretary Attorney Joseph and G. Maribohok, Undersecretary for Legal Affairs, and Assistant Secretary Ramon Fiel G. Absede, ASEC for Finance, Budget, and Program Monitoring. Wow, it's a lot. And of course, we really had wonderful time with them as we learned so much insights that we could have in this station. And of course, to our attendance today, the link is going to be on the screen right now for attendance. And do not forget to complete the details in complying our daily attendance. And that is surely a ticket to our certificate of participation. Right, Ms. Marge?
Yes, let us always remind our viewers to please complete all the details, most especially your name and your email address. As much as possible, only use your DepEd email, or if you don't have your DepEd email, please use your Gmail account, the one that you use since Monday. Of course, Ms. Ava, I would like also to inform our viewers that yesterday's evaluation link was already closed. We will post or give you another link for today's evaluation later after all the session. And for your questions, we encourage you, and you may send them to our Padlet link. May I request the controller to please show our Padlet link on screen? Yes, so that's it. Our Padlet link is shown below. And please, dear viewers, please be mindful of the scrolling text below your screen, because we will show the links there. Okay, so simultaneously we will show the links of the attendance and the Padlet and of course the link for the session or the task of our facilitators. All right, so Miss Ava, please do the honor and introduce our first facilitator this morning.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Marge. As we all geared up and aware of the great efforts of our next resource facilitator, it is with a great matter of honor in our breakaway session 11. Ladies and gentlemen, dearest teachers and school heads, what's the big picture? Getting the main idea, theme of the selection. Dr. Tito M. Andrina, Education Program Supervisor, Division of Digos City.
Welcome to CLMD Connect. In support to the Comprehensive Region-Led Learning Continuity Plan (LCP). I teach. Integrating technology, academic community, the household, ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulang Idokalidad. This is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality education across Davao region.
Hello, my dearest colleagues in the Department of Education, Region 11. Welcome to session 12 of this webinar entitled, What's the Big Picture? Getting the Main Idea, Theme of the Selection. I am Tito M. Andrina, Education Program Supervisor from Schools Division of Digos City. Before we proceed with the viewing presentation, let us again first ignite your interest for the session. Our game is called 4 Picks 1 Word, in which you are very familiar. In this game, you will need only a pen and a paper while you will write down your answers. As the mechanics of our game, a picture will flash on the screen and you are given 15 seconds to write your answers. Clue letters are also provided on each side of the picture. Once the time is consumed, you should stop on answering and you check your answer as they are reflected on the screen. Are you ready? Let's begin. So how do you find the game? Did you perform fairly well? I bet you do. Now, this game is closely related to our session, and you will agree with me as we unfold the topic. But before that, let me emphasize our learning targets. These are the following. Number 1, gain understanding of the nature of getting the main idea as a reading skill. Number 2, identify the importance of getting the main idea. And number 3, explain how to get the main idea. 4, differentiate stated main idea from implied main idea. 5, demonstrate explicit teaching strategy as a guide in teaching the main idea. And finally, utilize appropriate literacy strategies in teaching getting the main idea of a text. Now, we are going to watch the video presentation prepared for this session. But before we proceed, please take note of the following viewing questions. Number 1, what is a main idea? Number two, where can we find the main idea in a selection? Number three, how do we differentiate stated main idea from implied main idea? And four, how do we teach main idea explicitly? These are the guide questions that you need to answer. Now, let us watch the video presentation. According to Fleming Lorraine in 2011, the main idea is the central point or thought the author wants to communicate to readers. Why do we think that's important to know the main idea? Of course, because when we find the main idea, that's the key to understanding what we are reading. If we just read, we just decode, but we don't understand what we are reading, so it makes the reading practice or the reading moment become senseless because we did not really get what we are actually trying to read on a certain passage. And besides, it's important because the main idea ties all of the sentences in the paragraph or article together. It is act as a cohesion of those words together to becoming for the author to come up with a very good explanation of what is the main idea of the text we are reading. So another question, same question, so why is it important to get the main idea? Of course, because without that, we can point out what the writer wants us to know. All of these reading pieces, selections, materials, there is an underlying message. And if we cannot get that, basically, we cannot fully understand what we are reading. So now, how to find the main idea? This is, again, not just have discovered yesterday, but it's just relearning of the basic concepts. First is, what we have to do is to find the topic first. How to do that? So we have to know the topic before we can determine the main idea, because the topics are helpful in looking into what we are reading. And we have to preview the text, and we have to ask ourselves, like, what or who is the article about? That's how to find the topic sentence. Another, after we have started to find the topic sentence, we will now be asking ourselves, like, what does the author want me to know about the topic? And we may also ask, what is the author teaching me about the topic? These are two questions, essential questions, that we will be asking ourselves every time we read a text, because this will guide us in understanding what we are reading. Another one is we can answer those questions by finding the idea that is common to most of the text or what opinion all the parts support. Okay? Now, after that, we find the topic, we ask ourselves, let's move on to the next one, which is look for a sentence that states the main idea. How to do that? Read the first and last sentences of the paragraph, because it's usually the topic sentence are written and it's our guide to our students. Then after that, we have to pay attention closely to any idea that is repeated in different ways. If an author returns to the same thought in several different sentences or paragraphs, that idea is the main or central thought under the discussion. So how to find the main idea? Look for a sentence that states the main idea. When the author stated the main idea directly, it is called the stated main idea. And usually we can find that just very easy, right? Now, after doing all those exercises, we read, we ask, we look for the keywords that will lead us to understanding the main idea, we will now be knowing how to test the sentence that we have identified as a stated main idea. How to do that? First is when you think you have located a stated main idea in the sentence, see if it meets these criteria. Number one, the sentence contains the topic. Second, the sentence tells the author's most important point about the topic. And the third, the sentence makes complete sense by itself. If it does not meet those criteria, well, you should forget that. What if the main idea is not directly stated? This is not a challenge for the students, right? Because it's not directly stated in a text. What would be the problem now? And how we can address that concern? Let's look at this one. At times, the main idea will not be stated directly. This is called an implied main idea. An implied main idea is the overall point the author is trying to make, but it is only suggested by supporting details and not clearly stated in one sentence. But the problem, are our learners ever ready to get the main idea by themselves? Can they do that? There's no question. When silence means yes. So, as there will be no topic sentence found in the paragraph, the reader is responsible for composing a statement of the main idea. And I hope they can write sentences, because if they cannot, that means we have to go over with how to teach the basics of the sentence, writing the sentences, right? So now, these are our keys to understanding, to identify the implied main idea. First is think of a general statement that could sum up the specifics as effectively as any stated topic sentence. Go back to reading all the specific statements, not just once, that opens the paragraph, and pay attention to any idea that is repeated in different ways. So why do I always keep saying that? Because the text will always repeat on a certain topic because it's what the author wants us to convey. Another, how to identify the implied main idea. We also have to look into the answering of these two basic questions, such as who or what did just I read about? Or what was the main point or points made by the author? So we are now discussing the text. The learners are now looking into what the text all about. And this is not the difference between the old practice of teaching reading, because we ask the students, but this time with these guide questions, the students are directed to interrogate what they are reading. So there's no stress on the part of the students because they will not be dealing with the teachers. They are dealing with the text. So how to identify the implied main idea? Another tip. Once you feel sure that you have found the main idea, you have to test that. Write that. Then it must be in a complete sentence, which contains a subject and a verb, and it should express a complete thought. Ask yourself if the sentence could act as a summary of the other sentences in the paragraph. You have to answer this question. Do the examples, reasons, and facts included in the reading explain or give evidence supporting the main idea you have in mind? If not, then forget about what you have written, because definitely that is not the implied main idea. And of course, we have always very keen to tell the students that the main idea can be just located anywhere else in the paragraph. Okay? So now, I will now go to the modeling part. How will I do that? First, I will introduce to students the text detective on stated main idea. Take note, the stated main idea. I have prepared two text detective, one for the implied main idea, and the other one is for the stated main idea. And my colleagues are going to distribute the worksheets. So, I will discuss to my students first the topics above, like what I need to do. I will explain to them the task they have at hand, like read the text, finding and asking myself and what I need to do. So, after that, I will require my students to look into the details of what I am looking for and what I found. So, I will teach the students read the text first. I will direct them to the first paragraph. All together, we will be working on the first paragraph. Then again, I will guide the students to looking into the last paragraph. I'll be asking them to look for the clues in the paragraph. Then after that, after showing that to students, I will now find the title. But not all paragraphs have titles or the selections. Then I will ask them to look for the picture, the topic of the passage, the focus of the passage, and the important idea of the passage. And after that, I will show to students this task here. Find, ask myself, like, what does the author want me to know about the topic? Where did I find that clue? How did I know that? What other clues helped me? What did I think that was important? And then what I need to do, because it's stated, it's just within the paragraph, I will ask the students to look for the main idea. What is motion? Consider a ball that you notice one morning in the middle of a lawn. Later in the afternoon, you notice that the ball is at the edge of the lawn against a fence, and you wonder if the wind or some person blew it at a steady rate, if many gusts of wind move it, or even if some children kick it all over the yard. All you know for sure is that the ball has been moved because it is in a different position after some time passed. These are the two important aspects of motion. One, a change of the position, and the passage of time. So, after reading that paragraph to the students, I will have again the formative assessment points like the happy face and the sad face. I will ask the students, did you understand the passage? For comprehension check. And most of the time, students are giving us mechanical answer. Yes, teacher. But when you ask them the nitty-gritty of the topics, they cannot say a word because they have this very mechanical response. So now, when I need to explain what the passage is all about, I have to do that because it's only then that I can let my students understand the passage they are reading. If not, so I still have to go over with the text until sometime that they can understand what they are reading. So really, it's a tedious process, but I believe this will help our students to fully understand how to get the main idea of the passage they are reading. Yan na, I have asked them, after reading the passage, I will ask them. So they will raise the happy face if they have understood that, sad face if not, but if they didn't understand, I will explain to them in details, or if possible, in vernacular, so that they can really tell that they now know what is the content of the passage. So, I will go back to the text detective. I will show to students. This is the modeling part. The teacher models to students how to get the main idea using the text detective on the stated main idea. Okay, I'll show to class. Class, I read the text. In the first paragraph, I found out that it is about motion. So I will show to students by writing my answer under what I have found. Then I will proceed to the last paragraph or last sentence. This is what it tells us. These are the two important aspects of motion. One, the change of position, and the passage of time. So I will write my response to the column what I found, like read the text, last paragraph sentence. What it tells me, what I have found, I will write there. Change of position and passage of time. Now, about the clues. All in all, the passage talks about the motion. So I will write here in that column what I found. And then the clues, still about the motion. Then after that, I proceed to the next column, which is find the. Of course, there is no title. So I will write none. Not all paragraphs have titles. So I will write there none. There's no picture used, so there is none also. Next to that is, I will show to students what is the topic of the passage, like writing what I found. So what the topic is all about? The topic is about motion. What is the focus of the passage? I will write also the focus of the passage is about motion. Then, important idea of the passage, still about motion. It revolves on that particular topic, motion. Then I will ask myself, show to students, Class, I ask myself after reading the text, what does the author want me to know about the topic? So I will write my response. The topic is motion, and the paragraph describes a ball being moved over time. So that's how I understand what I am reading. So I will show to students, class, this is my answer to that question. Then I'll move on to the next topic. Where did I find that clue? How did I know that? I found it in the last sentence, right? How did I know? It was stated in the paragraph because it's a stated main idea. Then I will respond to the question, what other clues helped me? So I will write as my response, the sentences repeat, moved, and time. The last sentence includes both those ideas. If we go over with the selection, and you can find that in your handouts. Then what did I think that was important? I will say that I read a paragraph to see if the last sentence could act as a summary of other sentences. And if the example explains the main idea. And luckily, it does. So now, I will now fill out what I need to do and what I found columns. What I need to do, look for the main idea. What I found, the stated main idea, which is actually written below the paragraph. These are the two important aspects of motion. One, change the position, and the other one is the passage of time. I am now happily moving on and moving forward to using the text detective on the implied main idea. I will explain to students what is this text detective on the implied main idea. First, I will tell them what they need to do. Like read the text, ask myself, write down what I need to do again. Then I will go over with what I am looking for. So I will tell the students, okay, class, after reading, for instance, I'm giving them two passages, and it's for them to find out which one is the stated main idea and which one is the implied. I'll ask them which particular text detective sheet they're going to use. So by that, they will now think of which one is perfect for the text. So, granting that they have understood that this passage contains no stated main idea, it's implied. So I will read this one. What you need to do, class, first, again, you have to read the text. What you are looking for, you look for the specific statements, not just the ones that open the paragraphs. It's important because here, sometimes, it's giving us a glimpse of what is the topic sentence all about. But basically, in the stated main idea, this is where the topic sentence is written, and also in the last paragraph. Then I will guide the students to look for, to explain them that idea is repeated in different ways. Then general statement that could sum up the specifics as effectively as any stated topic sentence. Then I will ask myself again, I will tell them, okay, class, I'm asking myself, like, what is this paragraph all about? Twing, 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 twing. So it's just like that. Then who or what is the focus of the source? It's important to know that. Then what is the most important about it? Then what does the author want me to know about the topic? So you see, there are some questions which are repeated over and over with the other text because this is how we guide ourselves in finding the main idea. So now, after having answered these questions here, I will tell the students, okay, now it's your time to write the implied main idea. Then after writing that, they have to test it again. What I need to do, test if the main idea answer these questions. What are these questions? One, could a sentence act as a summary of the other sentences in the paragraph? If not, drop your main idea, which you have written, because it does not answer to this question. Second question, are you sure that none of the sentences contradicts your general statement? And the last question, do the examples, reasons, and facts included in reading explain or give evidence supporting the main idea you have in mind? So I will explain to students all of these one. And after that, I will ask them again, are you now ready to use that text detective on implied main idea? Do you understand all of these things here? Because if not, we can't move on, we can't proceed. So now, granting that the students have understood that, I will now proceed to reading
the implied main idea. In this phase, it's still the modeling. I'm still model to students, to the learners, how to get the implied main idea using a text detective for that specific purpose. Okay? So now I'll read the text. All people are concerned about a few great questions. We can also reflect about this one. It's just like a mini recollection of what we have done for the past weeks, or how we have been through within our life. So all people are concerned about a few great questions: the existence of God, the purpose of life, the existence of an afterlife, and morality. About the first, science has nothing to say. No test tube has either proved or disproved God's existence. As to the purpose of life, although science can provide a definition of life and describe the characteristics of living organisms, it has nothing to say about the ultimate purpose. Regarding an afterlife, science can offer no information, for it has no test that it can use to detect hereafter. And as for the question of morality, science can demonstrate the consequences of behavior, but not the moral superiority of one action compared with another. Science can even prove that loving your family and neighbor is superior to hurting and killing them. To make a point that this text I'm giving is for our level. Of course, when you go back to your classrooms or your station and you wanted to use this text detective, use or find out which age appropriate passages that will fit on their level, that would address the differentiated instruction by Tomlinson 2001, right? Okay, now I ask them, are you ready to go over with the text? If they are now ready, so because they have answered this assessment here, I will now go over with this one. So I will show to students still part of the modeling. Read the text. Specific statements, not just the ones that open the paragraph. So here, a few great questions. The existence of God, the purpose of life, in the existence of an afterlife, and morality. I will show to students. Read the text, specific statements. What I found, class? Okay, I found that this is my answer. A few great questions. The existence of God, the purpose of life, the existence of an afterlife, and morality. Next, I will go over to the next column. What the idea is repeated in different ways. So what are this idea? It's science, purpose of life, and the ultimate purpose. So I underline them to show to students that these are the answers to this particular point here. Then on the third part, general statement that could sum up the specifics as effectively as any stated topic sentence. So we'll go over here again to the paragraph, to the passage. I'll show them, and I'll show class. My response to that is all people are concerned about a few great questions, because it's the entirety of the paragraph, right? So now I will show to students my responses to these questions. I ask myself, what is this paragraph about? So this is now self-check, right? So based on what I have understood, the paragraph is about science and the great human concerns. What are these? A few great questions about things. This one. Then who or what is the focus of the source? I will show to students my response. The four main concerns that all people have. Then the third one is what is the most important about it? That science cannot tell us about the main concerns that all people have, because it's what explained in the paragraph. Then what does the author want me to know about the topic? I will show the students my response. The author wants me to know that science cannot tell us about the main concerns that all people have. So now, I will write what I need to do. I'll show them what I need to do. Write the implied main idea. So this is now, based on my understanding, science alone cannot tell us about the four main concerns that all people have. And I will now check if this is correct. How to do that? I will test it by answering these questions. Science alone can tell us about the four main concerns that all people have. Could a sentence act as a summary of the other sentences in the paragraph? My answer is yes. What's your answer? By this time, I cannot ask the students because I'm still on the modeling part. Okay, class, it's yes, because looking at the sentence here, this is all the entirety of the paragraph. So I will say yes. And the next response to the question, are you sure that none of the sentences contradict your original statement? My answer is yes. Do the examples, reasons, and facts included in reading explain or give evidence supporting the main idea you have in mind? My answer is yes, because I am very confident that this is my answer, and I believe that this is the the implied main idea of the paragraph. So if my answers are all yes, I have 3 yeses, pasok na pasok. So I am now confident that I have the correct implied main idea. What does research say about teaching the getting main idea? So problems faced in finding the main idea. There is a study conducted by Sutarsha and Superman in 2014 entitled An Analysis of Students' Problems in Finding Main Idea of a Reading Text. They found out that these are the common problem. 1, lack of students' interest. We can reflect on this one because basically not all students are geared into reading. Maybe because the foundation is poor. Now, what is the challenge for us as educators, as supervisors? How can we give technical assistance to our teachers that we will entice our learners to develop the passion to read? Now, can we think of which specific role, which specific task we have to do to address this concern? And what are the underlying reasons why our students lack this interest, this drive to read? Second is lack of vocabulary knowledge. And the third finding says that the length of the paragraph really matters. So when you go to your respective stations, then you wanted to find out and use the text detective sheet. And as your guide, go over with the feel eerie passages. Find which grade level you are going to give a passage and try to look for stories which are contextualized, then use that as your guide because students will find it boring to read a lengthy passages. Next, the poor reading strategy. This is about the students. So as teachers, principals, as supervisors, again, the challenge, how can we make our students develop or eradicate this poor reading strategy in them? And later on, we will be finding out that these different literacy strategies we are sharing to you will be beneficial for our learners to come up with an improved reading level. And another one is text complexity. That's what I mentioned earlier that, if possible, try to find out those contextualized reading materials, reading passages, which are age appropriate so that the students can interact. They will love what they are reading. And finally is ignorance of paragraph component. I don't like to read that word, but it's what is written on the research. I cannot just change it because it's what the researchers are trying to show us. So how do we have to address that? So these are the 6 findings in facing the challenges as to teaching the getting of the main idea. So how do we have to address that? So these are the 6 findings in facing the challenges as to teaching the getting of the main idea. So let's look at this one. Kindly take a picture. Personal development plan. Area of concern are the 6 findings of the researchers. Lack of students' interest, lack of vocabulary knowledge, length of the paragraph, poor reading strategy, text complexity, ignorance of paragraph component. Then what strategies or activities you would like to do so that you can counter, arrest these problems? And what is your monitoring and evaluation scheme with regards to your strategy, and what is your timeline? And also, you can contextualize the area of concern depending on the basic knowledge your teachers shared to you regarding how they find it difficult to teach, getting the main idea.
Hello, my
Welcome
dearest
to
colleagues.
CLMD Connect. In support to the Comprehensive Region-Led Learning Continuity Plan (LCP). I teach. Integrating technology academic community, the household. Ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulong Idokalidad. This is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality education across Davao Region.
Thank you so much, Sir Tito. It's a powerhouse this morning considering that Dr. Tito Andrina is one of our national trainers. Once again, thank you and congratulations, sir. Your discussion was really informative, and just like your topic, getting the main idea, we hope that our teachers can see the main idea of this training. Though it is quite tedious due to the lengthy session, this training was held for your upskilling and reskilling on literacy instruction. Now, before I proceed, I'd like to announce that Sir Tito Andrino will join us again later, and he has some explanations regarding the task that he'll give. So do not worry, you may answer the task and access the link a little bit later. Okay, to sustain the momentum, we shall proceed to the next facilitator. Our next facilitator is the subject coordinator and reading coordinator of Grade 10 English, Digo City National High School, Digo City Division. Teachers, friends, our facilitator for the topic, make it in order, the what and how of sequencing of events, Mr. Bernardino Magno Jr.
Welcome to CLMD Connect. In support to the Comprehensive Region-Led Learning Continuity Plan (LCP). I teach. Integrating technology academic community, the household. Ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulong Idokalidad. This is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality education across Davao Region.
Good day, fellow educators of DepEd Region 11. Our courtesy to our dear Regional Director, Dr. Evelyn R. Fetalveros, CESO 4. Likewise to the Assistant Regional Director, Dr. Maria Ines Asuncion, CESO 5. The CLMD Chief, Dr. Janet Veloso. Regional Education Program Supervisor in English, Dr. Manuel Vallejo. To my co-facilitators, Technical Working Group, participants and viewers of this online training, my morning greetings to one and all. Welcome to day 4 of this webinar on literacy instruction. I am Mr. Bernardino P. Magno Jr., secondary school teacher of Digo City National High School, Schools Division of Digo City. Today, I am tasked to run the session of Ma'am Maria Rowena I. Apello, Head Teacher 1 of San Jose National High School, Schools Division of Antipolo City. This session centers on the what and how of sequencing of events. Hence, at the end of this session, we are expected to first identify the nature, process, and importance of sequencing events as a reading comprehension skill. Second, recognize and utilize different strategies for sequencing events. And third, demonstrate competence in explicit teaching of sequencing of events. Now let's begin. Let us have a word association game. Start thinking of the words that you can associate with sequencing. These words are essential for our learners to master this competency. What words can you associate with the word sequence? Please type in the comment section your answers. Okay. So there you have chronology. Yes, steps, step by step. Procedure, arrangement. Yes, process, making connections. Excellent. So we have order, steps, arrangement, procedures. These are words that we can associate with the word sequence. This time, let us expound these words for the reasons of having strong sequencing skills. What is the importance of having strong sequencing skills? Or why is there a need to teach sequencing as a skill? You may type in the comment section your ideas for the reasons of teaching sequencing of events. Okay? All right, thank you for your quick responses. So among the reasons why we teach sequencing as a skill is to sharpen the learner's problem-solving skill across curriculum. In other words, sequencing is applied not only in the English subject, but also in other learning areas or across curriculum. Also, sequencing of events provide opportunity for learners to acquire knowledge on cohesive devices, like that of signal words or the transitional words. Likewise, teaching this skill exposes learners to the use of graphic organizers, such as the timeline, sequence diagram, pyramidal plot, or flowchart. And of course, other literacy strategies that can be used in teaching sequencing to the learners will depend on the text used, whether literary or informational, linear or non-linear text. These strategic tools include text structure and text type strategy, close reading through text annotation, and paragraph frames, which allow learners to note details in the text by completing a paragraph. Okay, so let's try this. This is an example of paragraph frame. What were your preparations before attending this webinar? Please complete this paragraph. My preparations before attending this webinar were... Okay, so you have 2 minutes to think, and please type in the comment section your answers. Complete the sentence prompt with 3 sentences. Okay, 2 to 3 sentences only. What did you do first when you woke up this morning? Then after that, what's next? What else did you do next? Okay, please type in the comment section your responses. Okay, you still have 1 minute. Okay, so now you recall the things that you did earlier this morning or the events that happened earlier. Okay, so my preparations before attending this webinar were blah, blah, blah. So based on your responses that we can view in the comment section, what preparations are common to all? What leads to the next preparation or event? What particular words have you noticed in each sequence? Okay, so having responded to those questions, let us bear in mind that the event that we do leads to another. This is why we need to chronologically arrange these events and record them accordingly. Hence, leads to organization of thoughts and better writing. So, teaching sequencing through explicit teaching, as emphasized in the previous sessions, is that it includes the I do, we do, you do. Okay. I do involves introduction of the topic and text, be it literary or informational, and modeling, which is done in direct instruction. We do is the guided practice part. You do involves the independent practice and application. All right, so a while back, you were asked questions about your readiness and preparations done before attending this webinar. What were your preparations before attending this webinar? So that can be used as an activity to carry out the introduction phase of explicit teaching. All right, so before viewing the resource person's video on teaching sequencing explicitly, let us consider these previewing questions. Please take a photo of these questions and jot down your answers as you watch the video in a little while. Number one, what are the text structure and text types in sequencing? How significant are the signal words or cohesive devices in identifying events? 3, what specific signal words are used in literary text, informational text? 4, what particular graphic organizers can be used in sequencing? And 5, how can close reading through text annotation be essential to sequencing? So be guided with these previewing questions. All right, so to deepen our knowledge and understanding on the what and how of sequencing events, let us pay attention to Ma'am Maria Rowena Ayapelo, Head Teacher 1 of San Jose National High School, Schools Division of Antipolo City.
So what do we mean by sequencing? Sequencing is the process of bringing order to a group of ideas, items, or processes. It involves looking closely at the steps or events and finding a logical and meaningful order in which to place them. That's according to Nicholson and Glaskeka 2004. So sequencing is an essential competency we teach to our learners, especially key stage 2. So that's grades 4, 5, and 6, as early as key stage 2. And these strategies that we will be using later for this competency is also very essential. And we know that sequencing or sequence of events is an imperative skill that we need to give to our learners. Why? Because it will enable them, the readers, to analyze text structure. And it is affirmed in this research. According to Dymock and Nicholson of 2010, they emphasize that teaching text structures help readers build a coherent representation of the text, and even direct instruction in the recognition of text patterns is quite helpful for our readers and gone in 2013. Now, why do we need to teach sequencing? Okay, strong sequencing skills help our learners to what? Okay, with their reading comprehension of a text, especially narratives. Okay, so we are giving them narratives. Okay, we give them the elements, right? But then also in sequencing, we also have to give our learners texts that are localized, okay, and contextualized. We really need to go beyond their CPD, okay, the zone of proximal development by Vygotsky, wherein they would be able to relate to the text that we will be giving to them. What else? We also need to come up with their schema. Okay, that's very essential. So in sequencing, we don't just use only the narratives, but also we use informative text for the procedures and others. Okay, understand the structure of the text and how it is put together. So yesterday, the structure was been given to you. There are 10 text structures according to Parrot, and one of which here is the chronology. So when we talk about sequencing, automatic, the text structure is chronology, okay? And then understand how texts are kept cohesive through the use of linking devices such as connectives and transitions. So this pertains to the signal words. And signal words are very essential, okay? When we also select text, make sure that we have sufficient signal words because these will be very helpful for our learners for Key Stage 2, okay? And lastly, organize information and ideas in their own writing. So as I've said, our ultimate goal for Key Stage 3 and 4 is for them to be able to write their own composition, okay? So why teach again sequencing? Sequencing is an important component of problem solving across the curriculum, especially for social studies, for science, and for mathematics. But of course, in all areas. Okay, do you agree? Yes, we have the sequencing across all learning areas. And of course, in our COT, okay, we are looking for the integration, right? Content integration, COT indicator number 1, when we observe our teachers, right? Now, how do we teach sequencing? Through explicit teaching. Okay, again, we have our introduction and the modeling. This is the part that I do, right? The I do part. Next, the guided practice, wherein this is the part that we do. Okay, the we do part. The independent practice and the application pertains to the you do part, the learner's part. Okay? Now, an example here that I could give for introduction and then modeling, we can have here the think aloud and the scaffold. And then for the practice, of course, and then for the independent and application. But we will not gonna use these strategies. We'll have different strategies, okay? So other sequence strategies that we could use, we have the timeline. So this is best for autobiography and biography. The paragraph frames, okay, best for informative text, for process or steps. Though we can also use this for narratives. Graphic organizers, so we have here an example, stream pattern. Then we have sequence cards. If you have different pictures available, you can also use this for your graphic organizer in sequencing the events. And then you also have the 3 strategic tools to build sequencing skill. The close reading, you're familiar with that. The text structure, okay, because as I've said, it's not only the grade or the Key Stage 2 that we're after, but also for the Key Stage 3 and 4. And of course, the last one, graphic organizer. We will be using these strategies later. Okay, so we also have the signal words, okay? Signal words are used to give sign to the reader that a sequence of events occurred. So we have here examples, but make sure that when you give these signal words, inculcate or directly tell to our learners that there are specific signal words that we use for narratives and for informative text, okay? All right. So we also have here words or phrase. So let's just locate this, whether this is in the beginning, the middle, or the end. Okay. So of course, once upon a time, we can see that at the beginning. How about the end? Of course, the end. They lived happily ever after. The next day. Okay. After several months. Middle, yes. And then finally. Okay, so some of the signal words here will not be seen in the informative text, right? So we need to tell our learners. So I will read the text. So I'm already here on the modeling. You already have your copy? Not yet? My fellow trainers will give you the text. Okay, learners, I will read the text entitled The Miller, His Son, and Their Donkey. Once upon a time, there was a miller who lived in a little house beside his mill. All day long, he worked hard, but at night, he went home to his wife and his little boy. One day, this miller made up his mind that he would take his donkey to the fair and sell it. So, he and his boy said farewell to their lady and started off. They had not gone far when they met a number of girls coming from the town. Look, said one of them, did you ever see such stupid fellows? They are walking when one of them must be riding. When the miller heard this, he told the boy to get up on the donkey, while he tramped along merrily by its side. Soon they came to a number of old men standing by the side of the road talking together. I will have to identify the signal words at this part of the text. Once upon a time, one day, soon. I will continue reading. Look at that, said one of them. Look at that young rascal riding, while his poor father has to walk. Get down, you idle fellow, and let your father ride. Upon this, the son got down from the donkey, and the miller took his place. They had not gone very far when they met two women coming home from market. You lazy man, they cried at once. How dare you ride when your poor little boy is walking and can hardly keep pace with you? Then the miller, who was a good-natured man, took his son up behind him, and this way they went down to the town. I will locate the signal words wherein it marks the sequence in this part of the text. Upon this, then. I will continue reading the last part of the text. My good fellow, said the townsman whom they met, is that donkey your own? Yes, replied the miller. I should not have thought so. By the way, you load him, said the man. Why, you two are better able to carry the beast than he is to carry you. Well, said the miller, we can but try. So he and his son got down and tied the legs of the donkey together. Then they slung him on a pole and carried him on their shoulders. It was such a funny sight that the people laughed and jeered at them. The poor donkey was very uncomfortable and tried to get off the pole. At last, as they were passing over a bridge, he pulled his legs out of the rope and tumbled to the ground. He was so frightened that he jumped off the bridge and was drowned. Again, I will locate the signal words. Then, at last, and even so. Now, class, for me to have visual representation of the text, I will use a graphic organizer. This text type is a literary or a fiction. So I will use a graphic organizer, okay, wherein there will be beginning, middle, and end. I will write, one day, the miller and his son took their donkey to be sold to the market. At the middle part, I will write, first, they met a number of girls and heard that one must be riding in the donkey. So the miller let his son ride the donkey. Then they came to a number of old men and suggested to let the father ride the donkey. Next, they met two women and said both of them must ride. So they followed. Soon, they met a townsman and told them instead of them carried by the beasts, they should carry the donkey and slang him in a pole. And at the end, at last, as they were passing over a bridge, the donkey pulled his legs, tumbled to the ground. He jumped off to the bridge and drowned. You may include the text structure. So you let them have the text structure chronology, and then the text type, literary, and of course the signal words for your learners which are who are key stage 3 and 4. Okay? This time class, I will model another text type. Let me read. The process of machine translation of languages is complex. To translate a document from English into Japanese, for example, the computer first analyzes an English sentence, determining its grammatical structure and identifying the subject, verb, objects, and modifiers. Next, an English-Japanese dictionary translates the words, and after that, another part of the computer program analyzes the resulting awkward, confused mixture of words and meanings. The machine then produces an intelligible sentence based on the rules of Japanese sentence structure and grammar and its understanding of the original English sentence meaning. Finally, a human bilingual editor polishes the computer product translation. I will locate the signal words. First, next, after that, then, finally. Okay, class, there are 5 signal words that pertains 5 events in this example text. Now, for me to have a visual representation of the text, I will use a graphic organizer. This time, class, I will use the string pattern. Okay? I'll give a title to this, Machine Translation of Languages, English to Japanese. First, analyzes an English sentence, determining its grammatical structure and identifying the subject, verb, objects, and modifiers. Next, an English-Japanese dictionary translates the words. After that, another part of the computer program analyzes the resulting awkward, confused mixtures of words and meanings. Then, produces an intelligible sentence based on the rules of Japanese sentence structure and grammar. Okay? So, with that, a specific example of modeling to you for your key stage 2. Again, for key stage 3 and 4, you may include this. Okay? Helping them to identify the text structure. Very easy if it is a sequence chronology. And then for this text type, informational. Okay? And then signal words already highlighted in the text. Okay. So always remember that when we give text to our learners, it should be localized and contextualized. Okay? Suited to their needs. Let's have the guided practice. Legend of the Three Races. So this time, we are already on the we do. You have your copy there, right? Okay, class, I will read the text, The Legend of the Three Races. In the beginning, the great god Kabunian was lonely. He came up with the idea of shaping a man out of clay that he could bring to life and talk to, and put in charge of the other beings on earth every now and then. He decided that he would make the clay look like man. He took some clay from the earth, molded it into the shape of man, and then placed it inside his oven. While he waited for the clay man to solidify, he threw the earth and amused himself. Alas, Kabunian lost all track of time. When he remembered that he had left something in the oven longer than was ought, his first clay man was all burnt. It was black as coal all over. Its hair curled tightly from the heat. Kabunian, anyway, thought it a grand creation and breathed life into it. But it was not yet the kind of man he wanted at the start. Okay, class, what are the signal words that we can see in that particular part of the text? Okay, in the beginning, what else? Then, okay, what else? While, yes, what else? When, right? Okay, I will continue reading. So, Kabanian gave it another try. He placed his second clay man into the oven. But this time, Kabunian became so eager to see and what could come out that he brought the clay man out while it was not yet fully baked. The second clay man was so pale that now we could call it raw, but it was solid enough, and Kabunian liked it well. He breathed life into it, but it was not yet the kind of man he wanted at the start. Okay, class, what are the signal words that you can see in that part of the text? So, correct. What else? But this time, okay, what else? The second, okay, what else? But, okay. So this time, class, we will read the last part of the text. At his third and final try, Kabunian resolved to be careful. He guarded the time while his third clay man baked to perfection. When his clay man was finally drawn from the oven, it was a perfect brown, and its hair was straight and dark, and there was laughter in its cheeks. Kabunian loved this third clay man. He began to encourage the three races to get along, for the truth is they had come from the same clay and so are brothers. Okay, class, what are the signal words you have seen in this last part of the text? Third, yes, what else? While, what else? When, and but in the end. Okay, class. So these are the signals words that we have seen. So we use a narrative text, right? Literary, meaning you have to use, okay, we will use, okay, the three types or the three divisions, the beginning, the middle, and the end, okay?
That was Ma'am Rowena I. Apello, Head Teacher 1 of San Jose National High School, Schools Division of Antipolo City, resource person during the National Training on Literacy Instruction. So, were you able to answer the previewing questions presented a while back? Did you jot down your answers? All right, so it's important that you listen attentively and watch the video closely because your answers to the previewing questions will be of help in the next activity. Now, let us have the reflection questions. Number 1, why is it important for the learners to master this competency? 2, what is the prime goal of this competency? 3. How can signal words assure help? 4. Why is using graphic organizers an effective way to comprehend a text? And 5. What makes close reading a necessary skill for a lifelong reader? For your answers, please take picture of the link that is flashed on your screen, and there you type and submit your answers later. Have a picture of the reflection questions so you could start answering. Make your answers brief and concise. If possible, your responses will be 1 to 2 sentences only, with 20 to 40 words for each question. I repeat, answers will be 1 to 2 sentences with 20 to 40 words for each question. For your independent practice, work on this text individually. This is going to be an individual output. Just choose one from these two texts. A, why the sky is high. B, the significant changes in our lives. Don't worry, because I will be flashing on screen the copies of the whole text for you to take picture. Okay, so this is text A, why the sky is high. Please take picture. Right? And the other text is entitled The Significant Changes in Our Lives. Please take picture. So it is up to you to choose which of the two texts you will be working on. Just choose one. Read closely your chosen text and pick out the signal words used. Send your answers to the link flashed on your screen. Okay. So this is independent practice 1. Pick out the signal words. For independent practice 2, identify the text type, text structure, and signal words of your chosen text. Then complete the grid given. Everything is in the link provided for. For independent practice 3, after picking out the sequence signals and identifying the text type and structure, create a graphic organizer to show the sequence of events of your chosen text. Any graphic organizer that you think appropriate for sequencing events of your chosen text. Take picture of your output and upload on your Facebook account using these hashtags. Hashtag literacy instruction RO11, hashtag sequence of events, day 4. Take note, just choose one text for all your independent practice activities in order to establish consistency of your output. So, for the application, as we go back to our stations and respective schools, or when we make worksheets, activity sheets, modules for the new normal, we can make use of these examples to apply content knowledge within and across curriculum and use a variety of activities to engage our learners. Like this one, we can use this for picture talk. Look at the images. Who are involved in a given picture? Each frame of picture shows an event that happens. And when each event is connected to the next, respectively, then a chronological sequence will be created. This is actually a story about the monkey and the turtle. I am certain that we all know about this. So that may be used as a springboard in teaching paragraph writing, which will involve sequence of events, of course. So needless to say, an integration of Filipino subject and literature is observed on this. And may I suggest, when we facilitate the class in a virtual classroom in this new normal, we can choose clearer, simpler, more engaging pictures that would hook the interest of the learners. I believe most of our students are visual learners, not only with online classroom, but also with the activity sheets that we make for distance, modular, modality of teaching. All right, so another strategy is use graphic organizer or evacuation plan. That is to integrate content in science and social studies, for example. For TLE integration, we can also use graphic organizer on how to cook suman, chicken adobo, pork adobo, baking a cake, or any other menu which students could relate. Yeah, so any activity that involves process, procedures, steps, which allow learners to apply the skill in sequencing. Definitely, we can localize and contextualize our lesson in this aspect. Yes, indeed. So, to sum up this session, let us remember, teaching sequencing involves guided reading, text analysis, identifying text structure and text type, text annotation, which points out the signal words, and use of graphic organizers. All right, so at this point, let us have an assessment. True or false? Please get ready and type your answers in the comment section. All right? So true or false? Number one, sequencing is the process of bringing order to a group of ideas, items, or processes. True or false? Please type your answer. All right, so yes, undoubtedly, the answer is true. Very good. Number two, it is an important component only in problem solving across the curriculum. So that refers to sequencing. True or false? Take note, it is an important component only in problem solving across the curriculum. Okay, remember that sequencing is also an important component of problem solving across subjects, but not an important component only in problem solving. So the answer is false. Not an important component only in problem solving. As a matter of fact, it is an important component in teaching cohesive devices within the curriculum, paragraph writing within the curriculum, or signal words within the curriculum, and for example, the first, second, third, and so on, which are used in mathematics and other learning areas. Then graphic organizers are also used across curriculum. All right, so number three, knowing the structure of a text and how it is put together will help learners organize information and ideas in their own writing. True or false? Okay. Remember what Dymock and Nicholson 2010 emphasized, as presented by Ma'am Rowena earlier, that teaching text structure helps readers build a coherent representation of their text, and that direct instruction in the recognition of text patterns is quite helpful for readers as affirmed by Gunning 2013. So, knowing the text structure of a text and how it is put together will help learners organize information and ideas in their own writing. The answer is true. Okay, so very good. You got it right. 4. Using graphic organizer is most effective strategy in sequencing. True or false? Bear in mind that sequencing can be taught in a variety of ways. Graphic organizer is one. Analyzing text type and text structure is another. Using cohesive devices is also applicable. Paragraph frames, sequence cards, timeline, as well as close reading. All of these are effective. It would only depend on the level of your learners and in what key stage do they belong. So using graphic organizer is the most effective strategy in sequencing? No. So it's false. Okay. Number 5. Explicit teaching is a process of I do, we do, and you do. True or false? Absolutely. True. So, did you get it all correct? Do you have a perfect score of 5? Wow, congratulations. Excellent. All right, so thank you for your participation and for typing in your answers in the comments section. So in addition, it would be easier to identify the sequence of events using linear text guided by the signal words because of its reading path, beginning, middle, and end. In this way, the events are arranged chronologically. On the other hand, the reading path of nonlinear text is also non-sequential. Yes. The reading path of nonlinear text is also non-sequential. Thus, the reader can choose his own reading path. So whatever the text type is, let us always guide the learners in reading and in developing the sequencing skill. That is the essence of guided practice in explicit teaching. All right, so a visual representation on the difference between linear and nonlinear text is shown on this slide. So it is up to us, teachers, reading advocates, whether to use linear or non-linear text in teaching sequencing as a skill to our learners. I suggest we use both. By doing so, we would also consider and always consider the level of our learners. Yes. The localization of the materials and contextualization of the lesson, which we already know. All right. So at this juncture, may I reiterate our agreement? Okay. For your individual output, number 1, answer the reflection questions through the link provided. 2, pick out signal words of your chosen text. Why the sky is high, or the significant changes in our lives. Then send your responses through the link flashed on your screen. Then, number 3, complete the grid with the correct answer, text type, text structure, sequence signals. Submit or send through the link. Then the 4th one is create graphic organizer of your chosen text on a piece of paper or on your laptop. Take pictures of your output and upload on your Facebook account. Use the hashtags given. All right, so before we end this session, let us ponder on these words of Eudora Welty, an American writer. The events in our lives happen in a sequence in time, but in their significance to ourselves, they find their own order, the continuous thread of revelation. This has been Sir Bernie Magno of Digos City National High School, Digos City Division. I sincerely thank you for your attention and for being participative in our session. Thank you for typing in your responses and for being engaged. I believe the webinar session since day 1 to day 4 provide us opportunity to sharpen our pedagogical skills and instructional competence in teaching explicitly the big six of reading, especially that we prepare and equip ourselves for the new normal. In the meantime, let us prepare for the next session with the next facilitator.
Welcome to CLMD Connect, in support to the Comprehensive Region-Led Learning Continuity Plan (LCP). I teach, integrating technology academic community, the household, ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulong Idokalidad. This is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality education across Davao Region.
Thank you so much with the extensive discussion for the use of explicit teaching process and their significant contributions on the instructional competence at the academe. Given the kind of best efforts of the two of our accomplished and multi-skilled education supervisor on our resource facilitators in the Breakaway Session 11, what's the big picture? Getting the main idea, theme of the selection, we are privileged to have the phenomenal National Resource Facilitator himself, Dr. Tito M. Endrina, Education Program Supervisor of the Division of Digos City, and the Breakaway Session 12, English, Make It in Order, the What and the How of Sequencing Events, by Dr. Bernardino Magno Jr., the Subject Coordinator and the Reading Coordinator of the Grade 10 English, Digos City National High School, Division of Digos City. Thank you so much. And of course, at this time, we are live once again back on the screen. Our National Resource Facilitator, Dr. Tito M. Endrina, and of course, Dr. Bernardino Magno Jr. Okay?
Good
Dr.
day, Ms.
Tito M.
Ava.
Hello, Dr. Magno. Good day to you, and welcome to the regional training on the literacy instruction. And of course,
And of
we're
course,
waiting.
yes, good day to our fellow educators of DepEd Region 11.
Thank you so much, Dr. Magno. It's been a pleasure having you as our experienced resource facilitator all the way from Division of Digos City. We are waiting actually, Dr. Magno, for our education program supervisor from the Division of Digos City, Dr. Tito M. Endrina. Okay, actually, this is the time, Dr. Magno, for the open forum where our participants in the 11 divisions of the entire Region 11 has this chance and opportunity to articulate through the Padlet link given of their comments, suggestions, so that we can expand innovative solutions in times of this COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. So Dr. Tito M. Endrina, we are still waiting for you, and I'm sure the entire Region 11 very excited in your presence right here on the screen for this event, specifically on the open forum segment. Okay, so this is it. We are actually on our breakaway sessions 11 and 12. And a little later this afternoon, we'll be having our breakaway sessions 13, 14, and 15. And of course, none less than our Education Program Supervisor in Region 11, Dr. Manuel P. Vallejo, will give his substantial presentation of this regional training on literacy instruction. Is Dr. Tito M. Endrina is now back on the screen. Thank you so much, Mr. Pocholo Hernandez, our IT director. And of course, with Miss Casey Kimno of Bernardo Carpio National High School. There you go. Good morning, Dr. Tito M. Andrina, the Education Program Supervisor of the Division of Digos City. Hello, Doc. Right at this time, Doc, I believe that you still have your remaining tasks to explain to our participants.
Good morning, Ma'am Maureen.
Good morning, Dr. Indrina.
Yes po. You may have the floor now.
Please go ahead, Dr. Indrina. Please have
That
the time to explain the task. Thank you so
can I go
much.
now? Can I proceed?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, Dr. Andrina, you can proceed now explaining the task to the participants.
Is dear participants, if you notice that task is quite different from the task at hand, we need to do that because we have to adjust to the modality fit for this particular online training. So what you're going to do this time is just answer the questions at the Google Classroom, and then you just choose from the different passages given to you. Just choose one for stated main idea, and the other one is for implied main idea. And you can actually submit your answers until tonight or tomorrow morning. Hello?
Okay, yes, we can hear you very properly, Dr. Indrina, but there is a little delay. However, by then, we got your instructions very well. How is that? Okay, I am sure that the entire participants in the Region 11 will get that very properly. And of course, the cross links of flash on the screen will be their source of the information and the answers that they can like have posted that on the link. Okay, so at this time, thank you so much, Dr. Andrina. We have Dr. Magno. I can see you on the screen and you have all the pleasure in the world to answer all these questions given. Okay, so let me ask
Wow.
the yes, Doc. Okay. So this is it. We'll go first on the one coming from the division
Sure.
of Davao del Norte. Good morning po. I guess this skill is better taught in face-to-face class because the teacher and the students will be able to engage and interact about the ideas from the text read. May I ask for strategies or best practices on teaching the skill using a module?
All right. Thank you for that question, Miss Ava. You know, Miss Ava, we cannot just easily go back to the traditional face-to-face. This is new reality. This is new normal. So we have to embrace the new modalities. So in terms of using the modules, the activity sheets, the lesson exemplars that we are preparing nowadays, we have to think that our instructions should be given clearly and the activities should be sequentially or developmentally sequenced. And because we are using the modules, then we can still, of course, employ the paragraph frames, that I mentioned in the presentation. We can also have the signal words and the graphic organizers. And we have to consider also the appropriateness of text, the text appropriateness, and of course the level of the students that we are teaching, what key stage do they belong. And even if we are using the module, still we can teach sequencing of events by localizing or contextualizing the material. Like what I mentioned, how to cook suman, what are the steps in cooking suman, and I'm sure students could relate to that. And other activities that involve steps, procedures, process that our students can relate with, even if they are answering the activity sheets or the modules. We can still teach sequencing of events explicitly to our learners.
Thank you, Dr. Magno. Well said. So here we go with the next question. From the division of Davao del Sur, I would like to ask po if what can we do if the statement or the story is simple and understandable, yet the pupil still cannot get the main idea.
All right. I think that question is for Dr. Indrina because his topic is main idea, but I would like to address that question also in the context of sequencing of events. I'm sure we will be making use using the different texts. We have informational text, we have literary, narrative, yes, and in giving the text to the students, we have to consider first and foremost the appropriateness of text, like Dr. Indina mentioned, text complexity. All right, so what's the language used in the text? Is it appropriate for the children? And what is the topic of that particular text? Can the students relate to that? We have to consider that one. And we are language teachers and we know scaffolding. We know uh, building students' vocabulary. So before letting them read the text, we would first unlock the difficult terms. And in that way, they will be able to understand the text later as they read it. Because before reading the text, we give first an activity of letting them unlock or unlock the difficult words. Yes, and that's one strategy that we can use, we can employ, even if we use the activity sheets, the modules in this new normal.
Thank you so much, Dr. Magno. Even then, that it's noting details, but you get to inject the sequencing of events. And that's so being so varied, being a language teacher and a reading coordinator at that from the division of Dago City. Well-rounded, Dr. Magno. And of course, there is also a question or a comment if they can have a soft copy of the presentations given today.
Oh yes, I think the the facilitators, yes, of the region will be sending the soft copies to the different divisions of the region, so our participants can have access to that. Because in this new normal, we need all of those materials. I am sure that when we go back to our schools, our different stations, we will still intensify the teaching of these skills in our different stations by having the lock sessions. And you know what, Miss Ava, generally, this webinar aims to capacitate teachers to become effective reading teachers because we cannot get rid of the fact that we are language teachers and we are reading teachers. I would also like to emphasize, Miss Ava, that my topic on sequencing of events is just a portion of comprehension. Take note that reading begins with the oral language. Oral language is at the bottom. Comprehension is on top. We have oral language, we have phonological awareness, we have phonics, we have vocabulary, we have fluency, and we have comprehension. All of this big six of reading should be taught explicitly. And of course, we have limitations, we have constraints in this new normal. But of course, this is an opportunity for us to capacitate ourselves to sharpen our pedagogical competence, our pedagogical skills, yes. And in that way, we will be able to deliver the learning to our students even in this time of pandemic. And you know, Miss Ava, I would like to emphasize is that reading is just like traveling. If we do not have money to travel, I remember one author said, if you do not have money to travel, read. Because reading will take you to too many places, will lead you to too many destinations. For example, I have not yet gone to Africa, but I want to know the culture, the language, the system of government of Africa. Then I'm going to read an article about Africa. Then it is as if I have gone to Africa. Simple as that. And I would also like to ask, kasi marami mga questions doon kanina, I would like to ask this one also. Kasi wala si Dr. Indina, so I have the time. Uh, in teaching reading, my question is, have we as teachers, have we fallen in love with reading? Do we have a strong affection for reading? Because if we do not have, then it would be much harder for us to teach reading because we cannot give what we do not have. First and foremost, teachers, we should fall in love with reading so we will influence our learners to become better readers also. And of course, we know that reading is a lifelong skill. And with that, remember the GLR, genuine love for reading. At an early age of the pupils in the elementary, they should have fallen in love with reading na, so that along their academic journey, they will develop in them reading for recreation, not only academic. Thank you, Miss Ava.
Wow, that's coming from the multifaceted and multi-skilled, very experienced reading coordinator, Dr. Bernardino Magno Jr. You only do not know noting details, of course, or the main idea, but since it's reading, language and its language uses, you have known everything as well. Thank you so much for that. And I believe that the session videos are with the Division Education Program Supervisors that
Oh,
you
by the
might
way,
as well
excuse me,
go
Miss
ahead.
Ava, because I was able to read the comment section, there are concerns on the task. You can still accomplish the task later, especially my task on sequencing events is very easy. If you listened attentively and paid attention to the presentation of Ma'am Rowena, you can easily answer the assessment. And don't you worry because you can still answer it later, perhaps tomorrow. Don't worry much about it.
Okay, so there you go with our 11 divisions participants that they can answer that one a little later or even tomorrow. Thank you so much, Dr. Bernardino Magno Jr. And one thing I'd like to have again, Doc, is that the session videos are with the division education program supervisors, and you can start sharing them to our teachers. Okay, so
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
thank you so much, Doc. And I guess I just would like to acknowledge this question because since this is in the Padlet from the division of Davao del Norte, it's just a little bit related to the previous one with the main idea actually. This is how do you teach explicitly sequencing of events with the use of modules?
I think I have already answered that earlier. However, I would like to reiterate that even if we use the modules, we can still have the activities on paragraph frames. Okay, give the sentence prompt, then, like what I did earlier, what were your preparations before attending this webinar? One, what did you do first? Next, the next. That can actually be incorporated in having the modules, as easy as that, and introduce the sequence signals. Okay, activity 2. The sequence signals are the following. For literary text, for informational text. You know, Miss Ava, it's just a matter of thinking the activities that you will be giving to your learners, because we know our learners. For example, I teach grade 10, I teach grade 11. So I know exactly what graphic organizers or activities that are appropriate for my learners, because I'm not teaching grade 1, 2, and 3. And because you have been teaching for quite some time, and even if you are fresh graduate, you have probably uh, encountered this in your college days. And it's only a matter of being passionate in preparing the material. Because, for example, we have attended several trainings, seminars, webinars, but if we haven't put into practice the things that we learned, then I would like to go back to my high school philosophy. It says knowledge is useless unless it is used. We have to put our heart in teaching, because it takes passion. It takes someone's heart, soul to teach and become effective teacher. Thank you, Miss Ava.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bernardino Magno Jr. I know for sure that you answered everything, even that they didn't ask. But actually, when I reviewed in the Padlet about their questions, you already answered them actually. But nevertheless, I just would like to read their comments, suggestions, and questions so that we can properly acknowledge their concerns, and they will be satisfied, and they will feel that they belong to this regional training on literacy instruction. Like this example. Okay, there you go with. Uh, from the division of Davao del Norte, from Julius Andro Calicdan, how can we
Mm-hmm.
choose appropriate text if we all know that the text or modules for the new normal are unified?
Well, if it is unified and if it is coming from a DepEd central office, I'm sure it is already age appropriate because they are experts. Am I heard, Miss Ava?
Yes, yes, Dr. Mo. It's a
All right,
there's
I
a
would
little
like to.
bit delay. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I said if it is uniform, if it is synchronized because it's coming from the central office. If the modules, if the activity sheets are coming from the central office, then it must be age appropriate, because uh, those have been prepared by the experts, by the pool of writers from the different regions.
Precisely correct, Dr. Magno. Okay. Yes, so hello, Dr. Tito M. Eldrina. Hello, sir. Is back on the screen now.
Hello po, Ma'am Maureen. I'm so back.
Yes, sir. There you go, Dr. Tito M. Endrina. Okay, so, sir, I would like to give you a chance because I'm sure this is specifically for you. And I'd like to have your idea about this because you're an expert on this as a national facilitator from the Division of Davao del Sur. I would like to ask po if what can we do if the statement of the story is simple and understandable, yet the pupil still cannot get the main idea.
Hello, teacher from Davao del Sur. Thank you for that question. First, we have to see and understand first what does that simplicity mean? Is it on the level of the teacher or on the level of the students? Let's take note that sometimes we think that as a teacher, the students level. So I would suggest
Okay. So, in as much as we would like to try to reach of our Dr. Tito M. Andrina, however, this is really the technology and it's uncontrollable by the situation. So, we are still very fortunate and privileged enough today because we have Dr. Bernardino Magno Jr. At least, even noting details, he answered the question straightly to the 11 division participants in the Region 11. And of course, we can go through with the next question, Dr. Magno. From the division of Davao de Oro, I would like to ask Sir Bernardino Magno if we are still going to do the task, the last task making graphic organizers.
Yes, because that is the fourth task. You create a graphic organizer out of the your chosen text, whether the sky is high, why the sky is high, or the significant changes in our lives. Just choose one of those two texts. Then just create a graphic organizer. Take a picture of your graphic organizer. Then I'm sure the two texts are short. Okay, so you can still make a graphic organizer. And after that, you take picture of your graphic organizer, post it in your Facebook account using the hashtag given. That's all. Okay. And Miss Ava, I
Yes,
was
yes.
grateful this morning. I was glad upon knowing that Dr. Tito Enzina would be my co-facilitator today because he is our abs in English at Ligo City Division. But anyway, this is one of the pitfalls of technology.
Yes, that is really the technology and it's really uncontrollable. It's really beyond our control. So it's still Dr. Tito M. Andrina had conveyed his presentation very well to the 11 divisions of the Region 11. So it is in no doubt that we are still very fortunate having him today. And of course, Dr. Bernardino Magno Jr. Dr. Magno, would you like to have your message to the entire Region 11 participants before we part our ways today?
Okay, sure, Miss Ava. All right, to my fellow educators of DepEd Region 11, remember that as teachers and DepEd personnel, education is our business. We capitalize on hamon, bawat bata bumabasa, and let's work together to help concretize the ideals of the Department of Education. And with this webinar, I was able to make an acrostic of reading. Okay, let me share this one to you. Reading. R, reading refreshes the mind. E, reading expands the learner's horizon. A, reading activates prerequisite knowledge. D, reading develops higher order thinking skills. I, reading illuminates the reader's imagination. N, reading navigates the world. G, reading is geared towards success. Thank you, Miss Ava. Have a great day. We teach, we touch the future.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bernardino Magno Jr. It's such an invigorating resource facilitator today from the division of Digos City. Thank you so much, Doc. It has been so productive with all your answers to the Region 11 participants. Okay, thank you. And we'll put you back on hold again backstage. And we also would like to announce to our dear participants from Dr. Manuel P. Vallejo, our Education Program Supervisor, Region 11, the tasks will still be submitted on the link until midnight or even the next day. And the session videos are available at the Division Education Program Supervisors. And of course, at this time, after this open forum, very knowledgeable Dr. Bernardino Magno on its language and language uses. Back to you, my partner, Miss Marjorie.
Yes, we had two enthusiastic facilitators this morning, Miss Alva, and we are very lucky here in Region 11 to have such competent facilitators who are very willing to share their ideas and knowledge to our teachers. I myself have learned so much from them, and I would like to agree with Sir Magno that reading will really take us to places. And it would be very nice if we make it a habit that we read at least 30 minutes a day because it will not only develop our comprehension, but it will also take us to new heights or avenue. All right, now I'd like to reiterate as to the presentations with the permission of Dr. Manuel Vallejo, our regional supervisor, presentations and session videos were already shared to your respective divisions. Your division supervisors will then provide you copies. And once you get the copies, we request you, our dear English teachers, to please share it to your co-teachers in English. And Miss Alva, I'd like to take this opportunity to announce that our link for our afternoon session was already posted on the CLMD Facebook page. So teachers, please do check it out. And our time now is already 11:46 in the morning. I think we need to take our lunch break, Miss Ava.
Yes, Miss March. Of course, as our guest speaker of today from the Department of Education Central Office, Honorable Assistant Secretary Ramon Fiel J. Absede for Finance, Budget, and Program Monitoring. You know what, Miss Marge? I am really very inspired on his message. Balanced literacy education for communities. Education must always continue until the very end. To create change, which is very important and has an impact on our learners and the future. The kind of passion and commitment of our teachers in times of COVID-19 pandemic, which the literacy instruction gives a powerful determinant in school outcome. We give honor and thanksgiving for the desired knowledge, building helpful strategies to be inculcated to our learners of our Curriculum and Learning Management Division Region 11 Chief, Dr. Janet G. Veloso, and of course, the Learning Area English Education Program Supervisor, Dr. Manuel P. Vallejo, Region 11 Education Program Supervisors, Division Education Program Supervisors. Once again, I am saying we are one, Davao Region, bawat bata bumabasa, sulong edukalidad. As we are officially closing our morning breakaway sessions in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to CLMD Connect. In support to the Comprehensive Region-Led Learning Continuity Plan LCP. I teach. Integrating technology academic community, the household. Ensuring every learner is safe and protected anytime, anywhere. Anchored on Sulang Idokalidad. This is DepEd Regional Office 11, delivering quality education across Davao Region.